What are the benefits of workouts like these for your long-term health, no matter what your age? Workouts like these are designed to improve and maximize your cardiorespiratory fitness. Why is this so important for not only athletes, but also for anyone trying to live a long, healthy, fulfilling life? I got to meet up with board-certified lifestyle medicine physician Dr. Rob McNab and his wife Elizabeth before one of their gym workouts to find out why and how he prioritizes this aspect of fitness in his life.
Dr. McNab, we're here really early in the morning and you have a workout plan. Tell me about your workout.
Sure. So today it's all about cardio. So that's two components. One is zone 2. I'll do about 30 minutes, keeping my heart rate right at 125, 130 beats a minute. And the reason why I do that is I'm trying to build up my cardio-metabolic endurance. So that's a lot of elevation. Maybe the treadmill will be at about 13 degrees at maybe 3 or 4 miles per hour. We're going mountain climbing next year. Got to be able to get up that mountain and not stop. But after I finish that, then we're going to do HIIT training. Bursts of 1 to 4 minutes at speeds of like 11 or 12 miles per hour. So that's really sprinting on the treadmill. I try to hold it as long as my little heart can stand it. When I can't breathe anymore, then I bail out. I'll slow it all the way back down to maybe like 3 or 4 miles per hour. Let my heart rate come all the way down back below 120. I'll let it sit there for about 2 minutes, rest up, go back up again, and really nail it as long as I can. I try and do that for a cycle of 4 rotations. The reason why I do that is HIIT is exhausting, but it's so good for your heart as far as building up VO2 max, or how much power output can you build from your heart. That's such an important component to our health.
Tell me why you think it's so important for people to train their VO2 max and why this is an often overlooked area that people miss.
You betcha. So even though I will say I like exercising and I definitely want to look good climbing mountains, what I'm training for is life. You know, the higher we can hold our VO2 max, the longer we get to live and live at a higher quality of life. So can you go on vacation? Can you go to the beach? Can you go do a mountain trail when you're 60, 70, 80, 90? If you train for VO2 max, the answer is yes.
Let's dive into exactly what VO2 max is and why it's important for you to know about it.
So a lot of times when we're thinking about VO2 max, we're thinking about it from a perspective of athletic performance. But from my perspective as a medical doctor, I'm interested in the impacts of VO2 max in your health and survivability. So, and if you think about how stressful it can be to be septic or be in a car wreck where you break 10 bones or you've been traumatized, that is an extremely stressful situation for your body. And the resilience and the strength of your heart, as we measure it by VO2 max, goes a long way to determine who survives that kind of insult and who doesn't. And when you look at the research looking at people with the highest VO2 maxes compared to people with the lowest VO2 maxes, the people with the lowest VO2 maxes are 5 times more likely to die of having some type of traumatic situation or some type of serious illness affect them, and they just don't have the reserve to deal with the stress of the situation. So I pulled this graph from a study looking at VO2 maxes as broken down into quintiles of ability, looking at survivability. And so what this graph shows us is that if you're in the lowest quintile of VO2 max, you've got the weakest cardiorespiratory system, you are 5 times more likely to pass away from anything. So building up that VO2 max really helps you survive. And you know, this top line is elite level athletes. Well, we don't all need to be elite level athletes. If you're in one of these top 3 quintiles, you're going to get most of the survivability gains. So, like many things about our health, VO2 max is a use it or lose it phenomenon. Most people who are relatively untrained but young will have a VO2 max in the 40s or 50s, and that's good. That allows you to be very vigorous and do the things that you want to do. But starting in your 30s or 40s, unless you train for a VO2 max, it will start to decline slowly over time. And as that VO2 goes down, so does your ability to be more and more functional. So we know that when you are burning something, it involves combustion, and you have to have oxygen to make fire be effective. And that's exactly the same phenomenon inside of our cells. We need oxygen to convert energy inside of our cells. And so VO2 max is measuring how much oxygen can you utilize to make that energy. This is a little bit like the size of your engine. You know, you can drive a V8 at 35 miles an hour and maybe pull nothing and have no trouble with that. But you can also pull an 11,000 pound trailer, no problem. You know, the V8 has this capacity to do all of this range of activity that a smaller engine really doesn't. If you ever seen anybody tow something with like a 6-cylinder engine, you can do it, but man, that thing is working hard and it's at capacity, and you know, you can blow that engine up pretty easily because you're redlining its functionality, whereas the V8 has that extra capacity to be able to do that work and not redline. So, you know, when you're 20 or 30, you know, you have a very strong heart. So your heart's maybe like a V8, but we lose VO2 max as we age. And so by 40, we've decreased down, and now we're like a V6. And by 50, 60, now we're a 4-cylinder, then we're a 2-cylinder. And you can imagine the difference in functionality. How much work can you do? How many mountains can you climb with a smaller engine? Well, that's exactly what VO2 max is like. So a lot of people think as they age that they have missed the boat, and because they weren't athletes as a young person, then they just don't have any opportunity to improve. But nothing could be further from the truth. We know from good studies that if you take 20-year-olds and 70-year-olds and you train them to improve VO2 max, both of those groups, the 20-year-olds and the 70-year-olds, are going to improve their VO2 max very similarly. So the ask is this: if you're willing to do HIIT once a week, studies show you can improve your VO2 max.
What exactly is HIIT? HIIT stands for High Intensity Interval Training. The overall goal of a HIIT session is to maximize the amount of time you're able to work at higher heart rate zones by alternating periods of very hard work with relative rest. By interspersing short periods of rest in these sessions, you allow yourself to accumulate more total time working in these more intense zones. How hard should you work during a HIIT interval? On this rate of perceived exertion scale, you should be working at efforts ranging from hard to maximal in intensity. The types of exercises you can use in these types of workouts can vary widely, from using traditional cardio-based equipment to body weight and free weight-based exercises.
So Dr. McNab, tell me, what is your favorite HIIT workout?
So I love the assault bike. I think that if you want to get a whole body burn, I think that has got to be the most amazingly efficient piece of equipment to torture yourself with. It can get your heart rate so high so quickly.
Awesome. So how long are the intervals and how long are the rest breaks?
So on that, I still try and keep it at least 1 minute of high intensity, and I still end up giving myself maybe 2 or 3 minutes of rest in between. You know, because there's so much more upper body on the assault bike than with the treadmill. You get so worn out the tank pretty quickly.
All right, and you're going as many reps as you can.
So I would say at least try to get 4 or 5 rotations in, and that's all based on the literature. You know, if you want to go look at the studies and the research based on what is effective HIIT training, whether you're 20 years of age or 70 years of age, 4 cycles, 1 to 2 minutes intensity, couple minutes low intensity, at least once a week. That's the bare minimum dose that you need to be effectively bumping your VO2 max.
The workout I did with Dr. McNab and Elizabeth was 5 cycles of 45 seconds of work, followed by 10 seconds of rest. One thing that really helped with keeping track of these intervals was an app that's called a Seconds Interval Timer. On this, you can plug your workouts in ahead of time, and it'll tell you when to switch from work bouts to rest bouts. You shouldn't be able to keep track of time or do any kind of math in your head when you're doing a HIIT workout, so this type of a tool can really come in handy. If you found this information helpful, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. The mission of this channel is to encourage people to continue moving and to help empower them to do so injury-free.